Hello, this is just a short little video on how I have been doing my little mini quilts. I was using this book and patterns. I've made that one, and then the Be Grateful one. So their method is to use heat bond to iron down and stick the applique pieces. So the first thing I did, I've been wanting to make this. Now this book is from 1993, so I've been wanting to make this little mini quilt for a long time. And it gives you the little pieces. Unfortunately, I didn't read that it was turned for applique. Usually the pictures are reversed, and this book has and it'll let me know that the pictures are reversed, because what we're going to be doing is getting a piece of, well, this one's piece of paper, but heat and bond and trace out the image. But since these aren't, I needed to trace it out, cut it out, and then retrace it onto, or darn it, no, you can't with heat and bond you can only draw on one side, because the other side has the glue on it. So I would have figured out, but I had to figure out a different way of doing it. So my pieces are coming out backwards, which is fine with me. I don't know the rule that she has to face to the right or not. So what I do next is, after I draw out the pieces, I'm picking out the fabrics and ironing the heat and bond on the back side. Then I trim it out to the exact size, and I take the heat and bond off, and I'm laying out my pieces. Now, since this is reversed, I really can't use that as my what do you call it, example of where to lay out everything. I do have one of these old applique mats, so I just kind of lay my pieces out where I want them. See, I haven't cut everything out yet, so that's hard to show you. But that's what I did. I laid out the pieces, and then I ironed up, and I'm able to pull it off. And then I ironed this piece onto the background. And that way there's not a whole lot of fiddling. I make sure this is like see-through, so if you were able to use the layout, let me find a layout, you can see through it, so you know where to stick your pieces. But like I said, this was not reversed, the templates weren't reversed, and so I didn't use that. I just had to kind of eyeball it. So the next step is I'm going to hand stitch a buttonhole stitch around to secure everything to the background fabric. I did cut the background fabric a little bit larger, because in case I stitch too tight and it crumbles up, it's going to be cut down to 5.5 by 5.5, so I just made it 6 by 6. And I starched it so that everything's nice and crisp. You can also use your machine, but I have a difficult time with the machine stopping in the right places. And since this is so small, I might only use one strand of embroidery floss instead of 2. So I'm going to get that ready, and then I'll show you how we do some stitches. Okay? Okay, I thought I'd show, just in case you've never done this before. Well, this is my little portable ironing board. Here is my applique, non-stick applique. So the first thing I did, since this is 6 by 6, I went ahead to find the center. I just measured in 3 by you know, 3 inches and 3 inches. And I used one of these Frisian pens, and by Pilot, because they do erase once you put the heat to them. So that is what I did first. Now I cut out all my little pieces, and I'm going to take the back off. And let's see. It comes off really well. The shafts are really easy. It's just my fingers and fingernails. There we go. And what else I needed? This is the hat, and then this is the apron. Nope, yeah, that's the apron. Okay, so I'm going to use one of these as my guide to how things were layered. So I know this piece goes up to that. I'm going to hit that with the iron. Don't move. Okay, it's not all stuck down, but you know, you see it comes right off. Should have used a little iron for this. So, have this straight. Have that kind of in the middle. And I can tap that with the iron. And then the hat. Make sure it's tucked up a little bit and covering. That's cute. And then here's the hand, and I'm going to do this separately first. It gets hot. I have it on 5 just to make sure it melts the glue. There we go. And I get her where I want her. Or move you about the way. Tack that down real quick. Ow, ow, ow. There we go. So now we are ready to glue it to our background. And there's the center. And then I just kind of eyeball it. Don't know if same distance. I can't even talk. It's been so long since I've talked to anybody. There we go. I'm happy with that. I don't know why I always wiggle it. Just there we go. And the lines disappeared that I had drawn. Except a little bit there, but I'll hit it with the iron some more. So those are my... Wait a second, am I missing one? Why do I add leftover? Oh, there it is. It was upside down. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind. That's normal. So those are my 3. And like I said, the next step will be to start doing the buttonhole stitch all around every piece of the applique. Okay, so like I said, since these are kind of small, I think 2 strands would make, well, compared to my other pieces, it looks so thick. But I guess 2 strands would be okay. This was the last piece that I did. Whee! So, This is, I'm gonna get an embroidery needle, and I didn't realize I had different sizes. And we'll see how 2 strands look, and then if I don't like it, I can just undo it. So this is 2 strands. Whoops. Table. There we go. And this is kind of a short piece because I used it to make an eye. There's a little knot. Now, I used to worry about where to start, especially with the buttonhole stitch. And this last piece is, if it has it, I'm gonna start in like a little crook, because that way I don't have to gauge it. Well, now, by the time I get to another one, you know, it's not gonna be the same. You just kind of alter your stitch widths. So I'm coming up from behind, right there next to the applique piece. Now there's different ways of holding these things, and you can do the stab and stitch, or once you get better, you can kind of gauge it. The main thing is just to be consistent with your stitches. So I came right back up next to it. I'm going to loop that, and there's your first stitch. And so sometimes I've gone ahead and drawn 2 lines here just to give me an idea, because once your eyes see it, then you get a better idea of how far apart to make the stitches, and even how long to make them, you know. But that kind of gives my eye an idea of how big to make them. Otherwise, I'll start making them big and small and big and small. You can even put your finger right there until your eye gets used to it. I've done that too. So you just kind of space, and then come up, and make sure you have your thread behind the needle so that it catches it, and there's your second stitch. And my stitches are never perfect, and I don't stress anymore about it. I just do as good as I can. Do it as good as you can. And if it's really bad, I go and I undo it. I don't wait till later to decide. I do it right away, you know. Take the needle off and undo the stitches, because I know it'll bother me down the line. But that's only if, you know, one stitch was huge. But these are so small. And I'm thinking 2 strands is going to be okay. But you definitely want to be able to see it. So I know you don't want to watch all of this. So sometimes I battle with the thread. Like that one, I went ahead and came kind of high away from. So let's see if it shows up. Because it's hard for me to bend sometimes and come up right at the edge. Let's see if it's really noticeable. Nope. Pat them down in place. It's not that noticeable. So, and nobody's going to have their nose up against this and measuring. I hope not. If so, I'm going to have to shoo you out of my house. So that's what I'm going to do. And I try to keep my needle perpendicular, I think that's the right word, to this, so that I'm not going this way and that way. I'm having to eyeball it. I try to sometimes do this and it gets cockeyed. So I try to keep this line in my line of sight so that it's straight. So I know my stitches are going to be straight versus, you know, to the left or to the right. And if I do start doing that, then I have to undo them if it's really noticeable. And I just take my time. I see this as enjoyable, relaxing. I'm not in a hurry to get the project done. And When I was younger, I thought, oh my God, I got the project done, I gotta hurry up, and oh, this is nerve-wracking. If you just take your time and enjoy it, you know, so they're pretty steady. And like I said, this little image helps. You can use whatever marker you want. It'll come off. And that's what I'm gonna do, go around, and then eventually I'll have to get and do all the blocks together. But if you have any questions about anything else, please let me know, and I'll try my best to answer, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.